Hey guys, Scott and Vanessa Martindale here with Blended Kingdom Families. At BKF, we believe now is the time to change the modern day interpretation of the blended family.
Absolutely, you guys. As a blended family ourselves, God laid it on our hearts to build a ministry that helps support blended families by equipping your marriage, uniting the family unit, and igniting your faith. Our mission is that you would be touched by God and experience His goodness through this ministry, that your family would have practical skills, resources, and tools to help you live that abundant blended life.
Guys, thank you for joining us. Scott and Vanessa Martindale here with Blended Kingdom Families, and we are so excited to introduce some special guests that we have with us today.
Yes, you guys. So this is Jonathan and Hannah Boles. They are some very special friends of ours, have been some good friends of ours for a while now. We actually met through our first class that we taught at our church on blending families, and they have just been along this entire journey of the ministry with us, and some of our greatest supporters and encouragers. And we just love you guys so much, and we are so thankful that you are here to share your story and to talk through blended families.
Yeah, it was so important, I think, as we were getting BKF started. It was always that concept of, are we doing something right? And it was always great to have you guys there constantly. Like, as soon as something was happening, y'all were supporting us and cheerleading and just saying, yes, that works. Yes, that works. When all this was getting going, I know that was something Vanessa and I really, really cherished.
Yeah.
Was, if Jonathan and Hannah like it, then we're doing okay. then we're doing good.
We do like it.
Yes.
And we love y'all's story. Y'all have a great blended family story, and obviously you're running through this jungle with us. And we've always said, with all blended families, we're in this together with you. We're in this fight with you, and you guys are one of our closest allies when it comes to that. So, as we get started, I know Jonathan, you and I were talking about just resources, especially as you guys have blended family for a while. Obviously, you're just getting introduced to a lot more resources. So, sure. My question, as the blended families that are watching, is why are resources so important to blended families? Why is that a good tool for them?
Well, when we first got married, there weren't any resources.
Yeah.
We were just running along like in the dark, it felt like. We didn't know what was right, what was wrong. And so we learned along the way. And the first thing that popped up when we saw y'all's class, we were like, oh, we have to sign up immediately.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome. And when we went to class, it was amazing because it's a lot in relation to what Jimmy Evans says, and we just felt the connection and the pull to learn more, and we knew that we weren't alone and that other people struggled with certain things, and it wasn't just a battle that we were dealing with, learning and figuring things out on our own.
Yeah.
And so resources like what Blended Kingdom Family is doing are amazing and so helpful, and people that are just starting out, having that is going to be a lifesaver for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's just has not been anything in the church for blended families. I mean, there have been some, but we feel like we've just kind of been alone in our struggles, and trying not to cry. We just felt like we never fit in a group at church, in a class at church. I hadn't birthed my own child yet, so I didn't fit in a mom group.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't feel like we could be in a normal family group.
Yeah.
Because nobody could relate to the same struggles that we were having.
Mm-hmm.
So to have you guys doing this, and Jimmy Evans' book, Blended Families, anything is so helpful. It's so needed for blended families.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Before we get too far, tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah.
Tell us your story, your family.
What's your blended family dynamic?
Exactly.
So we've been married for 8 years. We have a 4-year-old. 6 years. Sorry, we have an 8-year-old. That's why
I always make that mistake. Never can I remember the years.
We have an 8-year-old, and he came with me. His name's Jackson, and we have a 4-year-old together, and his name's Jordan.
Yes.
So we met when Jackson was like 8 or 9 months old.
Yeah.
His baby.
So he has known me his whole life.
Yeah.
So I wasn't introduced to him later on when he was older. So it's been, we feel like, easier for us
Yeah.
in that aspect. And so he also has an older sister. He now has a younger brother.
Yeah.
So a blended family is his normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all he's ever known.
So
Both of our boys are very lively.
They're awesome.
They're hockey
I
players.
love the
love it.
pictures. I do. Yeah.
I love it.
So
and they're
house
hockey
is a zoo.
players.
Yeah, our house is a zoo.
Yeah.
It's fun though. We love
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Life with boys is just fun.
Yeah.
And it's so just
It's loud.
it's loud
It's
and
loud
it's screaming
and smelly.
and smelly and there's always
cookies.
always constantly something good going on. Well, that is awesome. We talked a little bit about resources. Obviously, every blended family is unique in its situation, and just like you guys, obviously getting introduced at a very young age, every dynamic is unique. But I want to just touch on, for the people who connect with your story, what challenges have you guys faced? What things have you seen, whether that was early in your blended family or maybe just recently? What challenges you guys seeing, and then in turn, how have you started to overcome those?
Yeah.
More personal or with?
Whatever the Holy Spirit tells you to share.
With me, for me, right before we got married, I was struggling. I had lost a job. I was about to propose. I was a single dad, and I was terrified about a lot of things, And I remember one day I had just left her house, and I was actually driving to church, and I was on a major road, and I was driving, and I was just thinking, and this turtle came out in front of me. And I went right over the turtle, and I thought, oh no, and I looked back in the rearview mirror, and it didn't get hit. And then cars just kept going by, and they never hit this turtle. And right at that moment, God spoke to me and said, hey, if I can take care of that turtle going across the freeway, why wouldn't I be able to take care of you and your new wife and your son? It's all gonna be okay. So at that moment, I listened to him when he spoke, and I try to train myself to continue to in the good times and the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how God can take care of us in those things.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
so good.
there's been a lot of struggles along the way, but sorry, I'm a crier.
That's okay.
It's okay. Let it out.
I think the most important thing is to just be still and trust in God, that no matter what you're going to go through, He is there and He is going to get you through it.
Jonathan, why is it so important and in the same breath so hard to start literally trusting God with all these situations and to lean on Him for answers?
A lot of it's been very difficult for me, especially in the past, and even some recently, is if I'm not letting go and giving it to God and trusting Him that whatever it's going through, whatever the problem is, whatever the issue is, whether it's a scheduling conflict or this happened or this didn't happen or this behavior issue here versus there, or whatever it is, if I'm not giving it to Him, I get caught up in my anger, and then I get upset and I shut down, and I have to reach out to her, or she'll reach out to me rather, and she'll say, hey, you need to let that go. You need to pray about it. Go to your quiet time. Give it up, because you're letting it.
Yeah.
You're letting it get you.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel like we're moving forward and taking positive steps when we're still stuck on being angry or upset about a text or a situation, or so when we are still and listen to God and trust that He is with us, it's so important to literally be still and be silent and not those arguments, those things that you want to say to start, because you feel like you can, and when you need to defend yourself or say this or do this. it's best to just sometimes take a seat and be still and listen to God and let him take control of it, because ultimately he's the one that's in control of it all.
Yeah.
There's nothing that, I mean, we can only do so much,
Yeah.
and we just have to be still and know that I am God and he is going to take care of it.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's one of the things I think across the gamut of blended families, one of the most common emotions that all of us feel is that it's either anger, resentment, the need to lash out, like you said, the need to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
And then you couple that with the concept of the way technology allows us to communicate right now. So, we can send that text, we can send that email, we can do all these things, and it's not in relation to God's plan, it's in relation to what our own ego wants to achieve right then. So it's always good to take that pause, to rely on your partner, to rely on your husband or your wife to say, where am I at with this? And is it coming from the right place?
Yeah.
And Hannah's real good about that. She knows when I'm about to just lose it.
Yes.
And I'm learning to take my thoughts captive before I let them loose and I react that way.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
How do you go about that?
I have to walk away and sit down quietly by myself and pray and literally I'll make a gesture of giving it to Jesus, because
good.
otherwise I'm holding on to it till I can let it out or lash it out, And so being still and knowing, like you referred to, is I mean, it's real. It's real.
I think the power comes in the silence, because we're so distracted by so many things, and it's either our phone is going off or this or that, or it's the noise of disunity in our blended family or whatever that looks like. But just sitting in the silence and it's that knowing, like be still and know, like don't question, it's the knowing. But there's so much power in silence and just not even saying anything sometimes.
It's good.
Not responding is the
Yeah.
best answer a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Well, and it's unique because, all blended families have these challenges, and you would ask each individual one, how do you deal with these challenges? And a lot of people think it's the action. It's the actionable item of, well, I'm going to apologize. That's a good one. I'm going to ask for forgiveness. It's another great one. But the one powerful tool that God gives us is the ability to be silent, and the ability to be really quiet and to understand that, he's speaking or he's showing or he's having a turtle cross the road.
It's good.
Those signs are out there. We just have to be quiet enough to see those.
That's the self-control, the fruit
Yeah.
of the Spirit, Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think it's amazing. And I think, again, if we can control our emotions in those aspects, and we can control maybe the feelings, the initial feelings of anger and resentment, it can change the whole dynamic of the blended family. It really can. And I always, we go back to this so many times in our podcast. The enemy really does want to destroy you. There's a real battle that goes on for the soul of marriages and what God creates. And he knows that with blended families, there's a tendency to look back at the crack that you had in your past that said, this failed, I saw it, I made it fail, and because that's in your past, I'm going to get into your future. And if I know that, and if you know that as a blended family, that's where Satan goes to attack you, you know that that's a possibility. And I just, in my soul, I feel that. I feel like if Satan's out there going, get mad, get upset about this, and you're just literally going, you know what? No. I'm just gonna be still, and I'm gonna listen to the Creator, and that's who's gonna be the answer. It's just got to be the ultimate victory.
And it changes the dynamic of your family too, because the kids know.
Yeah.
They know when you're losing it or you're not in control of yourself or your own emotions.
Sure.
And when you are, they know, and it changes the dynamic. I mean, behaviors change.
Yeah, I mean,
everything.
A text that goes wrong in the morning can just last all day, and everyone can feel the tension and the anger, and it's just
it kind of fills the room up.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what are some of the solutions that you guys have had to come up with or that you have implemented to help you get through, some of that? Like, I know you said crying out to God, but is there anything like for your marriage or, that it's affected, your family unit that you guys have implemented that you could just give some, advice or tips on?
Well, recently, since we can't go very many places right now, we've started going for walks.
That's good.
As a family.
Yeah.
We're always in the house. And so we get out the scooters and
I love the scooters.
And whatever else it may be, and we'll go for walks. And it helps. You got time that's quiet. You're together. You can pray. You can talk. You can walk. You can chase.
Yeah.
You can carry scooters back to the house.
All those pictures.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
But that's helped a lot, and we're striving and trying our best to have more time together by ourselves, which is also hard when you're shut down in the house all the time. But that's one of our real big goals right now.
Yeah.
Quality time.
Yeah,
together.
quality time together.
Yeah.
And just, being still, being quiet, and going to God with prayer and to each other first before we respond out of anything. Like, okay, whatever we're going to say, we need to make sure that it's correct or right or kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're imperfect, and we sin, and we don't want to come across that we are these perfect parents, better than others, and we want the other parents to see us for who we really are.
Yeah.
And, we've made mistakes. We want to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
We want to get along with them the best that we can because it is for the children. Yeah. It's not about us. It's not about
our feelings or
our
emotions
feelings
at all. It's for the kids.
It's about what is best for the child, but for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it all affects all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a strength in showing weakness of, we're not perfect, and none of us are.
No.
None of us, as much as even Vanessa and I work on blended families and talk about marriage, every one of us has our problems, and we make mistakes, and man, we want to be the first to ask for forgiveness, and I think that's ultimately what makes us relatable and makes every blended family work, is when you become relatable to each other. There's such a what's the word I'm looking for? There's this fear that the other family is better than the other one. Because let's be honest, that's what blended families do.
Yeah.
They look at the child and they say, my hope is that you're as happy there as you are here. My fear is that you're happier there than you are here.
Yep.
So we create these actionable items in our mind, and we're so careful about what we do. But what's really unique about children, especially as they age, they understand faults. They're in the business of asking for forgiveness. I'm sorry, I didn't clean my room. I'm sorry, I didn't pick up the trash. They're in the business of hoping that you forgive them so that they can go on and live their life. And then they start looking at their families and going, why is that not happening in my families? And you're absolutely right. They want that streamline. They want that forgiveness to be in everyday life. Yep. And if we show them that, that's a great example. Yeah. A lot of blended families watch our podcast, and we always like to give the unique stories that our guests bring, because your situation is unique to you. Yeah. But somebody will relate to it. So my question is what advice would you give a blended family, whether they're in your situation or maybe something you've experienced in your past? What advice would you give them? What would you share with them?
One thing I would say, and this may be a whole other topic, I don't know, but I would suggest getting legal counsel first, because when you're first separated and going through it, things may be great, and either party, may think, oh, okay, we've got this. You can have them whenever, and then I'll take them here, and you take them there.
Yeah.
Well, then other boyfriends, girlfriends, marriage. I mean, there's so many things that can come along that can change the situation like that.
Yeah.
So the children need consistency. And when you have those legal orders and rules that you have to follow, it just makes everything so much smoother.
It's set in stone.
It's set in stone. There's no arguing about when is pickup, when all those things that you have to think about.
Yeah.
There's just stops.
No, I
and
absolutely agree.
That has caused issues before, and so
It's
once
cut issues in half, minimum.
Yeah.
It's because we were without at first, and
had we have handled it earlier, I think we would have.
Yeah.
a little less.
So hitting that
stress.
head on first before waiting a little
And then as the children age, it may be in the best interest to go back and redevelop
Revisit.
those.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And redevelop those.
No, that's
Absolutely.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Jonathan, do you have anything you want to add?
She's been the mediator. So anytime there's been any back and forth that hasn't been agreeable, she's always been able to step in and or be the first voice. So there is no issue in the first place of
it's
sporting events or this or that or anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to butt heads, and sometimes it just happens.
Yeah.
But she's been the best at mediating, so that's been very helpful.
It's easier for the step parent because they're not. I don't want to say they're not in it as much as the bio parent is, but
There's not that history. Is what she's trying
there's
to
just
say.
not. We don't feel the heat of it as
Right.
much
Yeah.
as the other parent does.
Yeah.
So it's easier to have a more level head on all of it.
Yeah,
It's like,
true.
okay, don't do that. No, let's do this. Well,
Yeah.
let's ask God first.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, that's
First.
good.
For sure.
What are
We've
we gonna do?
experienced
Yeah.
that as well too. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that.
Well, and I think it's important to understand that step parents and in new marriages, and you have a place in this dynamic of blended families. You're not the participant, just the participant in the blended family. It is your family.
Yeah.
It is as much yours as it is anybody's. So you should play a role, and play a role that God gives you the ability to play. Because you're right, we're both step parents, so we don't have the history. I don't recall events 10 years ago. I don't recall what somebody said 10 years ago. I'm just looking at what's the best solution now, and can we talk unemotionally about a solution and get to that solution. So I think step parents should play a vital role in that. Can help a lot.
I mean, he hates me because I say, not hates me, but I play the devil's advocate all the time. I'm Switzerland, okay, I'll take her side.
Yeah.
And be like, but let's try to see this from another angle.
From a
It's a
different
blessing to have
perspective.
that perspective, though, because I don't all the time. I don't all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our final question is and we try to ask everybody this, is what does it mean to you to live a blended kingdom family?
Yeah. What is a blended kingdom family to you guys?
A family that puts God first, a family that is together and tries to do the best they can and forgives and loves each other.
Yeah.
I liked what Tanner,
Oh.
he talked about. A blended family is not just the blended family in our house, it's the blended family in the other house, but it's also a blended family. I mean, we're all the family of God, and we're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And what we love about y'all so much is that you say we're in it with y'all, because we are all in it together.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just makes the kingdom so much bigger.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing your story and just your encouragement. And we know that it's going to impact, even if it's just one person, that's what we're called to do, is we're called to share the good news and, share our testimonies. And so we just want to say thank you guys, and we love y'all.
We appreciate y'all.
Yeah. And it will, guys. I love testimony type guests that give their testimony, because whether people struggle in these areas, and just to hear one more couple say, you know what, yes, you're going to struggle. There's an answer. It's called, trust in God and trust the way He's going to lead you, and you'll get through it. And I guarantee you there's somebody watching that's like, I need more of that in my life.
For sure.
So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for joining in with BKF. So thankful you were here. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and talk to you soon.
Be blessed in all that you do. Y'all did a really good job.
Y'all did a great job. It was wonderful.
Hey BKF community, we want to hear from you guys. If you would take the time to leave us a review, and you can find us on all social media platforms. Our podcast is like on every podcast platform, and you can visit us at our website at www.blendedkingdomfamilies.com.
Yeah, guys, we're trying to reach every blended family all over the world, and we can't do this without your partnership. So please take a minute, like, share, comment, review, tell your friends. Tell them they can all go to blendedkingdomfamilies.com for great resources.